Welcome to the Fernley Planning Commission meeting, July 9th, 2025. Hearing devices are available. Please see the city clerk. To avoid any meeting disruptions, please place cell phones in silent mode or turn them off during this meeting. All meetings are recorded. When addressing the Planning Commission, please sign in, state your name, and speak clearly into the microphone. Thank you for your understanding. Can I please get Commissioner Jacob Vanderheiden to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'll do roll call now. Commissioner Jacob Vanderheiden,
Present.
Commissioner Garvin,
Present.
Commissioner Wagner,
Present.
Vice Chair, myself, Miss Lewis is here. Barry Williams, Commissioner Williams is absent. Commissioner Flores,
Present.
and it looks like Jenny McCullough is absent as well, leaving us 6. We have a quorum. Oh, I'm sorry, and Commissioner Holt is present as well, and will be voting this evening. This portion of the meeting devoted to the public may comment on any matter that is not specifically included on the agenda as an action item. Items not included on this agenda cannot be acted upon other than to place them on a future agenda. If you wish to comment, you can do so in person at a public meeting or use the raise your hand feature in Zoom, *9 if you're participating via phone. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes. Please avoid repetition. The chair may at her discretion hold comments until the second public forum at the end of the meeting. Public comments submitted prior to 4 p.m. the day of the meeting will be provided to the Planning Commission and added to the record, but will not be read during a live meeting. Any public input received after 4 p.m. the day of the meeting will be included in the record, but may not have reached the commission members before action is taken. Is there any public input? None? Anybody on Zoom? Okay. 4.1, approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion for approval on the agenda?
I move to approve tonight's agenda as presented.
Can I get a second, please?
I second that motion.
Okay, fabulous. Let's vote. Okay, and that motion passes 6-0. Can I get approval of last month's minutes? Mr.
I
Flores?
move to approve last month's minutes.
Very good, thank you. Can I get a second, please?
I'll second.
Very good. Let's vote. That also passes 6-0. Moving on to item number 2, staff reports. 2.1 for possible action. TSM 20004, tentative subdivision map extension of time, consideration of and possible action of an extension of time request for not more than 2 years from Phelps Engineering on behalf of Vertex Fund 1 LLC to record a final subdivision map for the project known as Fernwood Village, a 54-lot subdivision containing approximately 7.08 acres, generally located between Englewood Drive to the north, Granada Street to the east, Tanglewood Drive to the south, and Vine Street to the west. APN number 020-516-06.
Good evening, Planning Commissioners. Elisa Johansson, Senior Planner for the record. I'm here tonight to discuss Fernwood Village TSM 20004, an extension of time. This project should be relatively familiar to most of you since we discussed this last month. The approximately 7.08 acre project, as mentioned, is located between Eaglewood Drive to the north, Granada Street to the east, Tanglewood Drive to the south, and Vine Street to the west. I apologize in advance. This presentation is going to feel somewhat repetitive, but for the benefit of public record, I'll go through it in full. The site zone is medium density residential with a maximum density of 14 dwelling units per acre. The surrounding zoning pattern is single family residential SF6 to the north, medium density residential MDR 14 to the south, multiple family residential MF 30 to the east, and more medium density residential MDR 14 to the west. Here is a vicinity map so you can orient yourselves visually. And here is the preliminary site plan approved under the tentative subdivision map process. Here is the preliminary landscaping plan approved under the tentative subdivision map process. The purpose of this extension of time request is to allow the developer an additional 2 years to record their final subdivision map. The tentative subdivision map for this project was approved by City Council on May 19th, 2021. The tentative subdivision map therefore expires on May 19th, 2025. A timely request for extension of time was received on April 29th, 2025, and we do stop the clock when that timely extension of time request is received to allow us time for processing. NRS 278361C does allow the Planning Commission the authority to grant an extension of not more than 2 years for the presentation of any final map after the initial 4-year period for presenting a final map has expired. If the extension of time request is granted tonight, the applicant must be ready to record the final map for the Fernwood Village subdivision by May 19th, 2027. That does mean that all public improvements would need to be installed by that time as well. Sorry, I'm having some trouble here. Could someone please advance the slide for me? Thank you. Here are our recommended motions. We do recommend that you approve tonight. Any other motions that are commensurate with Planning Commission parliamentary procedures would also be acceptable. And that's all I have for you tonight. Are there any questions?
I just have a question. Regarding the transferability of this, somebody just can't sell the action there or parcelization to somebody else and the extension be counted, right? They have to start all over again or something like that?
They do not have to start all over again. No, the segregation of land follows the land. So theoretically, this particular developer could obtain the extension of time request and then later sell the property to someone else. And that tentative subdivision map approval and extension would still be in place. However, that new developer would still need to meet all of the original conditions of approval in order to record the final map and actually subdivide the property as presented.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from?
I had 2 quick questions. So procedurally, I just want to make sure I understand what the difference is from what we're doing tonight compared to last meeting. Last meeting
Yes.
was the conditions of approval and
Correct.
tonight's the extension.
Correct.
Okay.
Last month, we amended the conditions of approval to remove the erroneous prohibition on extensions that was present in condition number 3. Council approved that. We waited for the required appeal period, issued a revised final action letter and revised conditions of approval. And that now allows us to move forward with tonight's action, which is really what started this whole thing, the extension of time request.
Okay, very good. And then the second question, not directly about this project. In this time period where we approve this one, my memory kind of gets fuzzy, but we approved another multifamily project maybe right next to this one. Is there any status update on that? Like when does their approval expire?
You know, I apologize. I'm not familiar with any adjoining projects. I did not analyze those for this particular request. I believe, and I'm shooting a little bit from the hip here, but I believe you might be talking about Sherwood Villages, which is right adjacent.
I think
As
so.
I understand it, I did look into that project status briefly as part of my review for this project. As I understand it, that property is currently vacant. Construction has not begun. We are still awaiting the final map and all of the public infrastructure improvements that were required as part of the conditions of approval for that project.
Okay,
That's my understanding.
thanks.
Any other questions from the commission? Commissioner Holt?
As the probably least educated commissioner on what takes place during these times, what does it take to get the final map approval? What have they done in the last 2 years and what's expected to happen over the next 2 years?
So it's been 4 years since the tentative subdivision map was approved. And during that time, the applicants have been working to meet the conditions of approval. The conditions of approval are quite long. I don't have them printed right in front of me, but they essentially revolve around installation of roadway infrastructure, other public infrastructure such as water mains, sewer mains, the laterals that would be required to connect the individual lots. This is also a multifamily zone, so that requires landscaping, any common areas, any landscaping that will ultimately be managed by the HOA, that is also required to be installed. So as I understand it, that that improvement permit is still in review with our engineering department, and one of the holdups for that permit review process has been vacation of a drain line easement that is owned by TCID. So we're a little bit behind the 8 ball for this project in terms of moving all of those things forward because the permit review for the public infrastructure has not been able to move forward due to that drain line easement.
Does this time frame is this inconvenient for the people who live around it? Like, is there construction going on? They can't access their home, their water lines are turned off while water is being placed in infrastructure? and-
No, so again, the public infrastructure permit and the roadway improvements, all of those improvements are still in review with the city, so no construction has commenced.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? Any public? Excuse me, sorry. I would also like to note that Jenny McCullough has joined us, so she is now present in voting. Okay, no more questions here? Okay. Do you have to make this any public comment on this item? No? No, okay, well, let's go to voting at this point. Oh, I need a motion.
Considering the information provided in the applicant's extension of time letter and the staff report, I move to approve a tentative subdivision map extension request not to exceed 2 years for Fernwood Village associated with TSM 20004.
Can I get a second, please?
I second that motion.
Go to a vote. That passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Moving forward to item number 2.2, presentation from the Deputy City Manager providing an update on the status of the lands bill impacting the city of Fernley.
Good evening, Planning Commission. Lydia Altick, Deputy City Manager. Excited to do this presentation for you and for all the public. So Fernley Federal Land Conveyance. On December 19th, 2014, the National Defense Authorization Act, or NDAA, was signed into law. Included in this act is Section 3009 titled Conveyance to the City of Fernley, Nevada. Under this section, the Bureau of Land Management is required to convey to the city approximately 9,779 acres of public lands. This is a map that's referred to in the National Defense Authorization Act, also known as the Fernley Lands Bill. The hatched parcels are what was included in the Fernley Lands Bill. The light yellow patches or hatched parcels, kind of the ones close to US 50, the closest to town, are included in the first phase of the Fernley Lands conveyance with the BLM, which began about 5 years ago. Along with 2 parcels that you see there that are south of Farm District Road. I don't know if I have a pointer on this thing or not. And those are pretty large parcels. Here's the map of those 8 parcels, which were conveyed to the city on May 30th of this year. That's phase 1. Conveyance of lands from BLM to the city under the 2014 Fernley Lands Bill fall under the Recreation and Public Purposes Act. Oh, thank you. Of 1926, which requires formal request from the city following an initial meeting with the BLM. The objective of the cultural resource inventory and report is to determine whether prehistoric or historic sites that are eligible for listing on the National Register of Historical Places are present within the lands to be conveyed. The baseline biological report is an inventory to determine what vegetation types are present, whether noxious or invasive weeds are present, whether threatened or endangered species or BLM sensitive species are present, or their habitat may be present. And this report serves as the baseline for information in the environmental assessment. The mineral potential report is to determine if there are any mineral resources within the lands to be conveyed, and if so, what's their fair market value of those resources. Cost to the BLM for administrative purposes and personnel costs. And the plan of development is a concept plan that's provided to the BLM so that they can see that it fits within the recreation and public purposes definition. These are the concept plans we provided in 2020. Parcel 1 on the left is across from the Meadows at Inglewood and Pioneer Crossing Casino. It actually also includes the frontage along Highway 50, so both sides of 50. Parcel 2 is east of Fox Peak and the Donner Trail subdivision. Parcels 3 and 4, parcel 3 surrounds the high school. And then parcel 4 is west of the cemetery, north of I-80. Parcels 5 and 6 are both south of the canal and east of 95A. Those are those larger parcels. And parcels 7 and 8 are furthest east on Highway 50, past the golf course. Parcel 8 is the easternmost parcel and is currently the site of a geothermal well and lease. Also part of the National Defense Authorization Act, any acquired lands that would not be retained by the city for recreation and public purposes, there is an opportunity to submit a request to the Secretary of the Interior to acquire the federal reversionary interest in all or any portion of the federal land. The city would pay for an appraisal to be completed and accepted by the Office of Valuation Services, and then pay the BLM the appraised fair market value to use the property as economic development or whatever. So where are we today? On May 2nd, 2023, City staff met with the Carson City District BLM and field manager as required to initiate the conveyance process for 10 parcels of land designated in the lands bill called the Fernley Lands Bill Conveyance Phase 2. We have completed baseline biological report. The Class 3 cultural survey is underway. And the plan of development in this area is passive recreation allowed under the recreation and public purpose. Recently, we also incorporated 5 more parcels, and those are the ones that are hatched to the north. And this will complete all of the federal or the Fernley Lands Bill parcels. So they will all be under conveyance with the BLM now. And I should point out, I know I said 2023 we met with them, but it's only been recently that we started the environmental process. As I said, the baseline biological's done, the cultural survey's getting underway. There is talk recently from the BLM to not require us to do an environmental assessment, which would shorten this project quite a bit, at least I would hope. And that discussion is ongoing. So they'd either say it doesn't require any NEPA environmental work at all, or it would be a categorical exclusion. So we are figuring that out right now. Are there any questions from you? Go ahead.
So, yes, so any land that is not for public use, non-commercial public use is given, let's say for free from the BLM. But if we if the city wants to use it for commercial purposes, development, something like that, they have to pay the BLM, as I understand it. Is that right? The fair market value, that's
Yeah.
what it says.
Yes.
Now, let's say Fernley purchases, like, I don't know, 200 acres or something like that. That land that is purchased by the city is then available for the city to determine a second buyer, some stuff from the public. Is that right?
It would be the city's property to do with whatever they see fit.
So that
given-
would be under the city council auspices, I presume?
Definitely. Yes, it would be something that would be publicly
Discussed, I presume.
discussed. Yes.
Okay. All right. All right, thank you.
Commissioner Holt.
My understanding of the checkerboard is that it's checkerboard. So on like P16, where it's not the full square, what is the remaining amount of that land that's not included?
It's not owned by the BLM, or it was not considered disposable by the
Okay.
BLM.
Okay.
So they have to make that determination before they decide that these are the lands that are going to be put in the lands bill. They have to put them up as disposable.
Okay, so it's not always the full square of
Right.
it. They sometimes retain
Right.
parts of it. Okay.
Commissioner Wagner.
I thought that was really useful information. I try to pay attention to things going on in the city. I don't think I've ever seen those maps or those plots or anything like that. First question, with kind of what's been in the news, I know there was a push to include in this big federal bill an ability to purchase federal lands that was then pulled. Does any of that have to do with the city of Fernley, or were these lands already available for conveyance previously, and there's no effect on Fernley from that proposal, recent proposal?
They do include Fernley lands. That started out as the 2023 federal lands bill, and those were lands that were down here.
Okay.
And yes, you're right. That got pulled out of the reconciliation bill because it didn't fit criteria. And Amadei says the fight is not over, so he still wants to get that done. We'll see what happens.
Okay. So I guess we kind of draw a line. Everything north of that has already been
It's a law.
written into law. Everything south of that is still up for discussion. Is kind of a way to
Right.
look at it. Okay. My second question is just the fiscal impact to the city of Fernley. So, obviously we don't pay for the land unless it's needed to be used commercially. But there's all these other studies that are necessary. Is the city fronting the money for all of those studies to be done for the conveyance?
Yes, we have hired Wood Rogers to do all our environmental work on those, and whether or not they are bought by the city under the federal, under the reversionary act,
Mhm.
interest, they still have to have the environmental compliance.
Okay.
So yes, if we were to buy anything, it is because we think that it has development potential. It's in the public's interest.
And so if the city were to not buy it and keep it for recreational purposes, we kind of saw the plans. Has there been funds that have been identified to pursue the plans that were written, or is it just kind of no plan? We just have the land now that's conveyed?
We haven't done anything concrete. So we've been looking for grant funding, for instance, to move the rodeo grounds. That would be, that's sort of high on the list of all the things. Also, Animal Services Center, we're looking at that and potentially one of those recently conveyed lands. So those are ideas we have. And actually there is funding in the budget for at least design of an Animal Services Center, which we've done a little bit of a site analysis. And so that we have done a little bit towards using those lands.
Okay, very good. That makes a lot more sense to me. Thank you.
Commissioner Flores?
Hi, your presentation is not firmly on the agenda as an item. I mean, it is an item, but there isn't detail on this map stuff. I wonder if it could be added somewhere in the city webpage so we'd have it available to us, because this is going to go away. We're not going to see it again for a while unless you carry it on in your zip drive or something like that. But is it possible to put this somewhere in the city website so people can access it? Your presentation?
I'm just thinking if it already is in there somewhere. It's public knowledge.
Okay, well,
Let me look into that.
look, okay, that's what I need to know. Okay.
Excuse me, Lydia.
Yeah.
I can take this presentation and add it to the minutes when I upload it to the website.
Okay, that would be great. That's what we need. All right, thank you.
Perfect. That way we can go back and refer to it. Very good. Any other additional Commissioner Gavin?
It says
Or
I'm assuming that's the 95A that's going south.
Correct.
Am I reading that? It says 50.
It's also called 50.
Oh, it is?
Yes, it's called 95 and 50.
That's confusing because I'm.
It is confusing.
Isn't part of this land that's got the checkerboard on that side, part of the southwest area?
Oh, yeah.
So aren't we, there's, how do I say this? Aren't we isn't there a plan to develop this already?
There's interest in developing it.
So, okay.
Yes.
So I'm guessing it's based off the investors to determine whether or not the city is going to actually purchase it outright from BLM. We just have the southwest area plan.
Correct. And a lot of that area is very steep and not developable, as you can sort of see on the map.
Yeah.
But some of it has development potential.
Okay. Just making sure. Thank you.
Mhm.
I just have one more question. You like you said, there's preferable land and maybe unpreferable land there. Now, the big developers are going to come in and buy up the best land, leaving maybe not that much for maybe a small consortium that wants to buy maybe just 100 acres. And I don't see a way that other than just talk to one councilman to try to, because that would be restrictive trade if you try to say, well, the big guys can't buy it. That's not probably legal. And the small guy wants to buy 100 acres and the small group wants to buy 100 acres. How can we make things a bit fair without being restrictive? Is there a way to do that?
First, we have to decide if we want any of it to be sold, right? So we can keep it all for recreation and public purpose if we desire to. What they did with those first 8 lands back in 2019, 2020 is the city actually issued a request for proposal to developers for ideas on how to develop those 8 parcels. And they did get some responses. So maybe that would be a way for anybody to respond with ideas.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you for your presentation. It adds a lot to a visualization about what we're looking at. Very well
Welcome.
done. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, moving forward. Item number 3.1 for possible action. Discussion and possible action to recommend approval of bill number 361 associated with CA 25001 to revive section 32.03.04B comprehensive master plan amendment to the City of Fernley Development Code to better reflect the requirements found in NRS 278.210. There we go. It's all these numbers. Thank you.
Thank you, Planning Commissioners. Michelle Rambo, Planning Director for the record. Slow down a little bit. This item came about while we were processing the Southwest Area Plan. And there was some confusion about supermajority vote for you and whether we could take it to council without the supermajority vote. So this is just to clean that up. The redlined version is in your packet, so you could see what we changed. There's a lot of red on it. Most of it's capitalizing and punctuation and spelling. The important part is the very last paragraph. And we added very clear language that master plan amendment cannot go to city council unless it has gotten a supermajority approval from the planning commission. So that clears up a lot of the confusion. It also makes it more aligned with NRS code, which basically says the same thing. So we're just looking to clean this up so we can avoid future confusion. And so we would ask that you recommend approval of this to the city council.
Does council have any questions in regards to the cleanup of and the revisions? That being no, we'll move to, is there any public input on this matter? Anybody on Zoom? Okay, any additional discussions from council? Any direction to staff from council at this point? Nope. Okay, I guess we have to have a motion.
I move to recommend that the city council approve bill number 361 associated with CA 25001 as presented.
Can I get a second, please?
Second that motion.
Let's vote. That passes 7-0. Thank you for adding that and cleaning that up so there's no questions moving forward. Item number 4, Chair and Commission items, summary or activity reports on planning issues, activities or organizations in which individual members may be involved. This item is to provide general information to the Commission and public. No discussion shall take place and no action will be taken. Do we have any Commissioner Chair items? Commissioner Wagner.
I wanted to thank Mr. Morrison. I had a good email conversation with Mr. Molina, who's the city's outside legal counsel, regarding SF6 zoning specifically and just kind of how we got here, what our options are moving forward. I guess my opinion has been that since SF6 has become available, it seems like developers are exclusively moving towards that zoning. We're not seeing many SF9, SF12 type, even SF20 type projects. And as we densify the development, that creates traffic issues, that creates a lot of things. So even like thinking about an idea of incentivizing developers to build some bigger lots around town somewhere, nicer houses, things of that nature. So I look forward to continuing the discussion. Would love to see that brought to a planning commission meeting so all commissioners can kind of voice their opinion and just have some options of like what is possible within our code to incentivize developers to build bigger lots, I think is my idea. But thank you.
Any other? Okay, that being none, we'll move on to item number 5. Planning Director items, activity summary on updates on projects that have been previously reviewed by the Planning Commission. This item is to provide general information to the commission and public. No discussion shall take place and no action will be taken.
Okay, thank you, temporary Madam Chair. I don't know where that came from. We've got June 18th for the city council. The only item that was on that was the condition of approval to fix that no extensions, and that got passed as Elisa talked about earlier. July 2nd, we had some contract renewals, which increased some fees. So we had that on the council. As far as general planning department updates and announcements, the associate planner position is now open, and we've gotten 8 applications so far, and it's only been open for 2 weeks. So doing good there. Some pretty good qualified people. And then the first of our RFPs went out last week. RFPs for the capital improvement plan and the impact fee study. And then the other one is for infrastructure plan for the north and the southwest areas. Going out in later this month will be another RFP for the south area plan. And then following that will be one for the update to the comprehensive master plan. So we've got a lot of stuff in the works. It's pretty exciting around planning department these days. And we'll keep you posted on all of it.
Very good. Any commissioner items, requests for any future agenda items?
I'm just wondering, would it be possible just to get maybe the slide presentation that the deputy city manager just emailed to us? Because I'm interested to see the checkerboard against what the Southwest area plan is.
Yeah, we can go ahead and do that. And then if you'd like, we can schedule some time for us to sit down and maybe go over some more details of how the Southwest area plan works with that.
Even better.
Okay, we can do that.
Well, that too. Sorry. Thank you.
Okay. Item number 7, public forum. This is the portion of the meeting devoted to the public. If you wish to comment, you can do so in person at the meeting or use your raise hand feature in Zoom, *9 if you're participating via phone. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes. Please avoid repetition. Is there any public input? If you are speaking at the podium, please print your name on the sheet provided. Doesn't seem like we have much public today. Is there anybody on Zoom? Okay, we will adjourn this meeting. Next meeting is August 13th at 5 p.m. Adjournment is at 5:39 p.m. Thank you very much.